Guys, I arrived in the capital of Argentina, Buenos Aires. It is the hometown and born town of the first Jesuit Pope and the first Pope from South America, Pope Francis. And because we are in the month of July and we are celebrating this year, 2019, 50 years since this so-called event, landing on the moon that connected the entire world, I'm going to mention another Argentinian who died in 2009. Fernando or Franco Caldeiro. It was an engineer and a NASA astronaut. And the city center of Buenos Aires is actually not here where I'm standing in Plaza del Mayo, but is where this obelisk stands. It was built in less than 4 weeks. And that's the city center of Buenos Aires. Right here in the plaza you're gonna see a lot of buildings. One is the Cathedral of Buenos Aires. It's also a mausoleum of one of their generals, San Martin. Other buildings belonging probably to banks, like this one. It's a very beautiful building with beautiful ornaments. That big building from there is the building of the Bank of Nation of Argentina. Well, I said that I'm in the Plaza del Mayo. Almost everything is connected with the month of May in this country, and I'm going to tell you why in a minute. But first, the etymology of the word Buenos Aires can be translated as fair winds. And in 1536, when Pedro de Mendoza established this settlement, which 5 years later was deserted, he named this settlement Nuestra Señora del Buen Ayre, and it's also the patron saint of the island of Sardinia in Italy. Almost everything is connected with Italians around this country because more than 60% of the population are direct descendants from Italians. The rest are Spaniards and a lot of European nations. That's also visible around here because the architecture of Buenos Aires is connected with Europe a lot. As you can see here, we have the Pyramid of May. 1810 is the date of their independence. They gained their independence on 25th of May 1810. In 1816 it was recognized. Unfortunately, 50 years after this event, this country was in civil war, I might say. And this statue up here actually resembles a little bit with the Roman goddess Athens, Athena. And as I said, Italians are about more than 60% of this country. In 1541 this place was deserted and they came back in the 1580s. The flag of Argentina, as you can see, it has a sun in the center. It's called also the Sun of May. And the entire flag was designed by another general of theirs. He's also on this equestrian statue over there. And this red building in front is the presidential palace. They probably decided that it's better to paint the entire building in one color. This country, Argentina, is really big, and in their history they fought with all their neighbors, with the exception of Uruguay. They are very friendly with Uruguayans, and also with Italy. Probably Italy is the best friend of Argentina. But as I was coming from Uruguay with the boat through Buenos Aires, I thought that I was passing over the Atlantic, or part of the Atlantic. But later I found out that actually I passed a river. The widest river in the world is Rio de la Plata, or the Silver River, as the name of the country says. Argentina is coming from Argento. Argentina is the translation for silver, even though this country doesn't have a lot of silver. It has a lot of precious metals, but not a lot of silver. So as I was coming from Uruguay, I passed this wide river, Rio de la Plata, which is actually a river formed by the confluence of two other rivers. Is the river Paraná, which comes from Paraguay, and also the river Uruguay, which represents also the border, the natural border between Uruguay and Argentina. And this river has a width of 220 kilometers. And the harbors are behind this presidential palace and behind those buildings. So Argentina, a huge country, Buenos Aires with 15 to 16 millions inhabitants around in and around the metropolitan area of Buenos Aires. It is a country where you can find a lot of influence in culture, also Amerindians, even if these guys are 2 to 3% of the entire population of the country, but mostly of European culture. Presidential Palace. Creator in general of the flag of Argentina. I will see you next time.